Hey, I'm Zoe.
And I'm Fox.
And today we were going to review Killer Klowns from Outer Space, but you know what? We did you one better.
The theme song has not left my head since we watched the movie. No complaints, it's a good song.
Fox is obsessed with this movie. Fox requested this, not necessarily multiple times. I've never denied. I think I may have denied a request of yours, maybe once, but not on this. And it's a lot. This movie's a lot, and I don't hate it, but I also kind of hate it.
I, on the other hand, absolutely adored it. First of all, I love clowns. I have a collection of clowns. Like dolls and figures, not real living clowns.
Yeah, Fox gets legitimately excited at the idea of dressing up as a clown in real life. Giddily excited.
Yeah.
And I can't say that there's not judgment, but I do still love them.
You find it charming.
I find your enthusiasm charming. I want to be very specific. I do not like clowns. This is the whole thing. I do not like clowns.
It's not a fear of clowns, though, right?
No. I'm not clown phobic, but I just don't like it. I just don't like clowns.
Right, you don't like them, but you're not going to go out and commit clown hate crimes.
No, nothing like that. And I can respect the people who like clowns, like Fox. And on a logical level, I get it. I just can't get there myself. I just can't bridge that gap.
I could spend this whole podcast on the history of clowns and
We're
different
not
types of
fucking
clowns.
doing that.
No one wants that. I want that. If you want it, let me know. Anyway, Killer Klowns from Outer Space. The movie is exactly what the title says, and it's beautiful. Once again, it is an 80s movie, because I'm sorry, I just don't know how to pick movies that aren't before 1990.
This is the fourth, maybe fifth 80s B movie that you've picked?
I mean, B movie is a little rough. I wouldn't exactly call this A, up on the A list.
I mean, it's in the style of a B movie at the very least.
I'd say
with the
this
structure and how it
It's a B plus.
Sure.
A funnier joke would be if I said it was a C for clown movie.
Well, you didn't make that joke, so it's you're gonna get a 300-point penalty, and the teacher will have to speak to you after class.
Oh, the real joke here is me. Anyway, so yes, it is about killer clowns. They're aliens, and they come down to Earth solely to harvest humans and run amok and drink our sweet, delicious blood.
Yeah, and that's it. It's just that. This is the second movie of a shooting star crashing into Earth carrying deadly aliens that want to consume humans. That was made in the 80s and is around 90 minutes long. This is the second movie that you have picked for this podcast to do this with.
Here's the thing. I actually really like this trope. And I did not realize that about myself until doing this podcast.
I don't hate the trope. It's an easy enough starter for a horror plot, but
No, that's fair. This movie, by the way, is tongue-in-cheek. It is a horror comedy.
Yeah, I would say it's probably not even dark humor. It's comedy, but people die. But the deaths never are taken with any amount of weight. Like, it's all, everything's like, it's tongue in cheek on every single level.
A cop is made into a ventriloquist doll, and the clown has his giant gloved hand puppeting the corpse ventriloquist doll.
And he has not missed. Nor should he be missed.
Yes.
That cop was an asshole and continues our continuing trend of movies from the 80s of having more bigotry than you expected.
Yeah. I mean, so first of all, the cop that we're just talking about, he's this old, alcoholic, paranoid piece of shit cop.
Yeah, a former Vietnam vet who just did not transition well into society and is taking it out on everybody else around him.
Yes, a complete jackass. It's great that he dies. He looks great as a dummy with a clown's hand up his ass.
Yeah. He doesn't say any slurs, I don't think. He says some hurtful shit, but I don't think any of them are slurs. So it's progress.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily remember off the top of my head if he said any slurs. The only slurs I really remember are from the protagonist, which is very unfortunate because we are supposed to, root for him. And it's the 80s, so he says some homophobic bullshit.
Yeah.
So let's get into the real meat of this.
Here's the thing. You say meat. There's not a lot of pickings on this bone. Like we've had some story light movies on this podcast. This one I think is by far like the least story, because the sentence "killer clowns come from outer space, land on Earth, and eat and consume people, and then eventually the main one dies and their spaceship explodes," is an apt summary of the entire movie. There's really not much more than that. I could mention are they brothers or are they just friends? The people who run the ice cream truck.
No, they're brothers. I'm
right.
Positive they're brothers.
So I can mention the brothers on the ice cream truck. I could mention the dude and his love interest. I could mention the cop being the ex-boyfriend. I could mention we've already mentioned racist cop, homophobic cop, just asshole cop. He's a cop. I mean, what do you expect? Ex-boyfriend cop's no better, by the way. He's not as directly hurtful, but like he is also a piece of shit.
He's so possessive of
his ex,
the main woman.
I don't remember any of these fucking people's names clearly.
I only remember because I have them written down on my phone. Actually, I remember the cop's name, Dave.
Oh,
not the piece of shit cop, but the well, he's also a piece of shit.
Yeah.
The cop we're supposed to root for is named Dave, and I remember that.
Yes, and here's the thing. Nobody in this movie is likable except the farmer with the dog.
Yes.
Who dies immediately. He's the one character that we liked, and he died within 30 minutes.
Yes, we got to see him for maybe 5 to 8 minutes of screen time. He's an absolute delight. He's a parody of, those old farmer rural types in these horror movies that you see them, they stumble on the evil thing and immediately die.
Right.
And of course he has a dog.
Yeah. But we're talking about all this stuff, but none of it really matters. Like, the farmer being there and dying doesn't matter. The protagonist, the girlfriend, and the ex-boyfriend who's a cop now, like, all that shit doesn't matter. Like, the only thing that actively comes back up in the movie is that the ex-boyfriend is a cop, and that's just so that there's a reason why he has a gun at the end of the movie. That's it. That's the only thing. And then the brothers have an ice cream truck because they drive it into the spaceship. Those are the two things that come back up in the movie once presented. And then everything else is superfluous. You could exchange it out for something entirely different, and it wouldn't matter. None of these characters actually matter. None of what they ever say actually matters. None of what they do actually matters. The only people who do matter in this movie are the killer clowns. And while I hate clowns, I actually kind of liked the killer clowns because they're the goofiest motherfuckers to ever be villains in a horror movie. They're goofier than like the scary movie, like the parody scary movie villains. Like they're just having a blast and they make funny sounds and they have clown related kills like they have they shoot these guns with popcorn. The popcorn turns into little Jack in the Box
Little
heads,
clowns, yeah.
that attack people. They encase people in cotton candy cocoons. One of them had they made a balloon animal dog that tracked humans.
Yes, love him.
There was and then, of course, plenty of balloons everywhere. A lot of them explode and do bad things. One of them does shadow puppetry, and then the shadow eats a group of people. That was a pretty fun scene.
A bunch of the clowns, they pie a guy to death because the pie is filled with acid.
Yeah.
And that's so fucking delightful to me.
Yeah. When I was watching this movie, I had to admit I was a little bit contentious. I was a little bit. I have a mindset going into most movies where I'm like, I can get down with whatever bullshit you want to sell me as long as it's consistent. As long as there's a logic to follow, I'm cool, you know? And I can think about the idea and it's fun. There's no logic in this movie on any side. Killer clowns and humans. There's no logic going on here. And I think watching the movie, I was having a rough time dealing with that. Now that I've taken a little bit and like reflected, I am okay with it because it's just trying to be goofy and silly and it doesn't need logic to do that. I kind of wish that there were no human main characters and it just followed a bunch of killer clowns killing people and then they left when they were done. And they just killed the town and then the town's gone and then they left. I would have been 100% fine with that. It probably would have been a better movie.
That would honestly be so funny. I would be down for a movie like that.
Yeah, it'd be like if the Blob just won. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm into it.
We don't need, like, a lot of horror movies, like, when you're talking like a B horror movie, you don't necessarily need to win. Like, you could just have one where the villain just wins and just stomps all over, and you just have fun with people trying to, like, survive until they eventually die. I think that works for these kinds of movies.
And to be fair, it's kind of implied that at the end of this movie, most of the town is dead, or at least a good
very
chunk.
Large amount of it. Yeah, a lot of people die because like there's a whole montage in the middle of the movie of the killer clowns going literally door to door and killing the people inside.
Just grabbing them all up, grabbing people off the streets, wrecking stores, taking everyone into their spaceship that of course is a giant circus tent, and putting them into cotton candy and drinking their blood.
Yeah, I will say, you mentioned the store. That's one of the killer clown scenes that I didn't like because it was a funny joke for 5 minutes, and then the scene, they kept bouncing back to it for like a total of like 20 minutes.
They did. You can really see...
This is a 90-minute movie that really, really had to pad itself out.
This movie, you can see where like they just had so much of a budget, right? So they had to overextend the scene at the store where the clowns are just fucking around with stuff and scaring the guy who's there. And then there's another scene, or several scenes extended, where the love interest, Debbie, after finding out about all these killer clowns, she takes a shower. And the movie just keeps cutting back to her taking a shower.
And it does lead to something. But they
Yeah, but
didn't need to cut back 3 separate times before a thing happened.
especially because it makes it seem like she takes an hour longer to undress, get in the shower, and not even be done with the shower before the popcorn turns into little baby Jack-in-the-Boxes.
Right. And the timeline is much shorter than that. Like, there's a different scene where the popcorn kind of like transforms, and it's a very, very quick process. So, like, the actual timeline of events here is reasonable, but the way that it's edited together, it just extends it out so much that it just feels like it's fucking forever. And it's like they really stretched this out, and they shouldn't have. I know they needed to like hit a minimum amount because you can't put a 40-minute movie into fucking theaters. They will yell at you. I get it.
Right. It's not, silent movie era anymore. We can't do that. We have to have these longer movies.
And for like the people who are like, well, like because when you're talking about like the shower thing, we're not describing it amazingly well because it kind of sounds like a Hitchcockian decision of like holding on like a moment of tension for like a very long amount of time. That's not what this fucking was. Because here's the thing, we don't see jack shit about the popcorn. Like, we just literally think it's pop. I thought it was actually popcorn until we saw the scene where the popcorn transforms. Because there's no fucking indication why it would be anything else.
Well, to be fair, when she put her clothes in the hamper, when she wasn't looking, the hamper started to like move.
No, it wasn't the hamper starting to move immediately. One of the popcorn kernels, or like the popped corn, it starts to scoot along the ground. Which kind of like says like, oh, there's something going on. But then it's like you get no more information. It's like, in a Hitchcock movie, you see the killer and he's moving around and he's getting ready to attack. There's shit going on. It's getting closer. We see the popcorn thing happen and then fucking nothing.
Well, I think it's just like it's because it keeps cutting back. It kind of gets rid of any of that tension.
Yeah.
Because you're not stuck in that moment. You're going off with
very tonally different scenes. You have like the cop and the protagonist searching for the spaceship, and then they can't find it, and then they run into the brothers in the ice cream truck, and then they see the weird ass parade.
They see all these people that have gotten and are getting picked up by the clowns. They see all of this stuff. And then Debbie's just back in the shower.
Right. So you don't that also ruins the effect quite a bit. Like, you're not holding on the important shots. You're not holding on the information. And the tone is so different that you have to like remind yourself what's going on. It just doesn't work. And there's a good amount of things like that, and they're all tied to the human scenes. Anything involving the killer clowns doesn't have any of these fucking problems, because they just indulge themselves. They indulge in the wackiest parts of that scene that they can think of. And it's great. It's fantastic.
There's one scene where there's just like this gazebo in the park, and there's this little puppet show set up by the clowns, and some guy just wanders over and is watching it. And it's so funny because, the little puppet takes a gun and shoots him. And I love
that's
that.
right. I remember
it's
now.
Delightful.
Yeah, the little finger puppet thing. It's so weird. I remember saying as we watched it, it's like, even if I thought this was like a legit just like thing that was happening, which is like the guy doesn't know. So it's like if he isn't aware of the danger, I would still fucking leave, because this is just a weird thing. How it's like midnight, like there's literally nobody else around. I would just fucking leave. Why would I fucking watch this? I know you're about to say that you would fucking watch it.
Absolutely. I'd be the one putting on the puppet show at midnight when no one else is around in the park.
Oh boy.
I've done weirder things in a park at midnight.
You shouldn't talk about that. That could get you in legal trouble.
We don't know. You don't know what parks.
Yeah. Any and all references to crime are jokes, and we don't mean them.
No, this isn't me saying I've committed crimes in parks. I've just done weird stuff at parks at midnight.
And again, any reference to crimes are jokes, and we do not mean them. Babe, I'm trying real hard here to cover our asses. You gotta work with me.
You're like the lawyer who's getting her client to shut the fuck up because what they say can and will be used against them.
Absolutely. So it's a problem. So we should probably wrap this section up pretty quick. I don't really have anything else to talk about.
I guess there's really not much to say. At the end of the day, it is a fun B-plus movie, parodying previous B horror movies.
Yeah.
It is about 3 humans that realize killer clowns have come to their small town and they have to fight them off. At one point, the woman, Debbie, she ends up in a giant balloon. And I think that's really cool. You actually thought that, maybe she was going to start turning into a clown?
That would have been cool.
It would have been. That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that's not what happened.
She was just in a balloon. It's
nothing
never
happened.
really...
Yeah, nothing
There was
happened.
no reason for her to be in a balloon. And there's no real reason, I feel, that, the clowns seemed really adamant in getting her. And putting her in a balloon as opposed to cotton candy.
Yeah, I don't think there's an in-universe reason for that. I think it's just because they wanted to, quote-unquote, raise the stakes. And they wanted to do it in a way where the protagonist could save her. Because it's like, all the people who are in, the cocoons, the cotton candy cocoons, the movie has basically written them off as dead. So if she's not in the cocoon, we could still save her, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the only reason why they put her in that to begin with. Which is it's just bad writing. That's just bad writing, and there's not a lot of good writing in this movie. That's also, but that comes down to what I said earlier of I didn't hate it, but I kind of hated it. Where it's anything that involved, anything that needed solid writing, which is pretty much any scene with the humans, that it just fell through the ground. And then anything else where they could just kind of do whatever and go wild with it and be more visually focused, that was great. Mm-hmm. They just made a movie with bad writers and then they did their best with it and that's it. And it happens and you know what? It's okay.
This movie is really good. It's a great time. Not if you have a fear of clowns. That's probably the last thing you want to watch.
Yeah.
But it's a fun movie. It just has some drawbacks, especially because, budget and, it was made in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I love 80s movies, but oh my god, the 80s sucked.
Yeah, it really did.
It sucked, folks. Can't say anything other than that. Well, actually, you could say a lot, but we won't right now. But yeah, so they go around and they save the girl, they fucking kill the clowns. Oh, you can kill the clowns by, shooting their nose, by the way.
Yeah, their big red noses are their weak spot. It's like a video game.
It's so funny, though, to, shoot a clown's nose and watch it die.
Yeah.
Let's not take that out of context. So yeah, no, they saved the day. It should be said that the evilest clown, the king of the clowns, it is a giant clown, named Jojo, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's just a big old giant clown, and I love him. That's all I can say. I love him. He's a giant fucking clown. A+. That's where the plus comes in the B+ movie, just because he's so big.
Oh boy.
And then the movie ends happy as can be with clowns defeated, and then out of nowhere the 3 get pied in the face.
Yeah, there's no explanation for that.
Nope.
But at that point, if you're expecting an explanation, there's something wrong with you.
I will say, right before they get pied, when they're all celebrating together, it had been a sort of love triangle thing, but then at the end, they all 3 kind of seem really queerly polyamorous together.
Yeah.
It's just oh, you're hugging him and you don't care that he's kissing your girl now? Okay, whatever. Okay. accidental polyamory. I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
But I think that's all I have to say about the movie. But we would be remiss in not mentioning there is going to be an upcoming Killer Klowns from Outer Space video game. And I'm so goddamn hyped.
Of course you are. I do not care.
I'm so excited. You can play either as a human or a clown. And just 10 out of 10, looks amazing.
We're not going to be talking about the game.
No, I just want it to be known because, goddammit, I've wanted this game and I never even knew it.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and go first?
With pleasure. The main problem with this movie are the human characters. Clowns are perfect. The clowns are perfect. I love them. 10 out of 10. Well, my only gripe about the clowns is you don't have a clown that can fit in the palm of my hand. So in the remake, there will be a clown that could fit in the palm of a person's hand. But, the biggest problem, human characters. I hate the men so much. They're assholes. Even the bearable ones are just like, I don't need to watch you for this long. You could just be fodder.
Yeah.
And the girl, she has promise at first, until she spends what feels like a third of the movie taking a fucking shower, only to be immediately abducted into a balloon. Useless.
Yeah, she's really eye candy in this movie.
We don't need eye candy, we need popcorn. Get it? Because you're at the carnival, you know what? Oh, you know what? I should have said cotton candy. That would have been... We don't need eye candy, we need cotton candy. I'm very pleased with myself. So, there are a few ways to go about fixing this issue with humans. First, I adore polyamory. Obviously, it's our relationship. You'd hope that I would like that.
Right.
That's one way to do this. Have the three main characters get into a polycule, make the guys more bearable, and the woman useful. That's the standard way to do this. That's not what I'm going to do this time, though.
That's surprising.
I know, it's very surprising. Don't worry, it'll still be queer. I'll fit that in. But I tell all the girls.
Oh, boy.
So, it's going to open up pretty much the same. Mike and Debbie up at top of the world, which is the town's lover's lane. She wants to follow the comet, and he decides to take her. And they stumble on the tent and wander around, yada yada. As they're escaping the clowns, however, Mike's just going to try and hightail it out of there when he actually realizes the danger, not giving a shit about her, which is going to get his ass killed and leaves her with the chance to escape. So she's the one who goes alone to the police and immediately regrets it because the senior officer he's a drunk piece of shit, and her ex won't take her seriously. But he will take her back to the woods and hound her about her having a new boyfriend, even if he is now dead.
Certainly an approach.
From here, it's similar in that Dave goes up to top of the world, but he takes her along, instead of Mike. It's weird and everything's covered in cotton candy. And he decides it's too dangerous for Debbie, and also he just doesn't want her running away from him, so he straight up takes her back to the station and locks her up before going off to investigate more on his own.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you decided to just make this man a creepy dick.
I think the movie itself did it first, and I'm just pushing it a little.
I wouldn't say the movie went that far. I would say the movie made him not a great person. They didn't make him necessarily creepy. He was just a belligerent ex. This is a new level. That you have definitely raised this on his character.
Yeah, no, I've definitely done that, but I think it's a lot better what I'm doing. Not to toot my own giant nose, but because clown, the giant nose, honk honk.
You didn't have to.
I don't have to do a lot of the things I do on this show, but here we are.
Yeah.
So anyway, Debbie gets locked up, with the guys who had wine in the park. Which is something we didn't mention before.
Because it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter in the original. But now I'm gonna make it matter.
Oh,
because that's the bitch I am. So there's a scene where the dick of a senior officer hauls these two guys into the station and locks them up. And all they were really doing was drinking a little bit of wine in a park.
Yeah, it was definitely weird how much they focused on this and then immediately dropped it.
I'm probably reading too much into this, but it just kind of feels like the beginnings of a hate crime, you know? Like, two guys drinking wine, of all things, in a park together.
They seemed very gay.
Yeah. And so here, I'm gonna make them explicitly queer, because, I mean, someone's gotta.
True.
You know, sharing wine in the park with your homies is pretty gay, no matter what way you spin it.
Yeah.
And this is where things are really going to diverge. So the clowns are still going to attack the station. This time, however, Debbie, with the help of the wine boys, managed to figure out the clown's weakness and escape. Which is what is going to make Debbie so interesting to the clowns that they want to put her in a balloon. I really liked your theory when we were watching that Debbie was going to be turned into a clown. And I want to bring that here. So there's a series of events. The group meet up with those brothers and commandeer the ice cream truck. You've got to have the truck. It's iconic. And it's just a lot of fun. This ice cream
I will agree
truck.
It's a lot of fun. But babe, nothing about this movie is iconic. People do not remember this movie.
You have to forgive her, folks. She's not in the horror circles like I am. This is a cult favorite.
A cult favorite. That's my point. Something that's iconic. You can't say something's iconic about a movie that not a lot of people have seen.
It is iconic to the clown fandom. The clowndom, if you will, and I will.
It's not iconic. It's not iconic. It is notable to a small subset of people. That is different from being iconic.
Well, I mean, we can always disagree on this, but also, clownconic. She looks like her soul is leaving her body.
We're just gonna keep moving.
Keep moving. So, shenanigans happen. Maybe Dave finds them, and through his jealousy and incompetence, he makes it so the clowns can easily put Debbie in a balloon and start the clownification process. So all of them make their way to the amusement park where the clowns have set up base. Break in like the original, the ice cream boys make out with some lady clowns, and the others find and release Debbie, who has started clown morphing. So we... That sound you made.
Oh, boy.
Chlorfing, if you will.
Stop! Stop! Just please finish your thing.
You're gonna hate what's coming up.
I hate what's already happening.
So she starts clown morphing. We see her outfit being more clownish. Her hair styled all wonky. Maybe a bit of clown makeup on her face. Maybe she has like a little hunk nose. Just like really lean into the fact that she is turning into a clown. Have fun with it.
Yeah, fair.
She's still her. She's still hanging on. But now, she's got a few clown powers. And I won't combine those words for your sake. And also because when you combine them, it feels like a derogatory term.
Yeah, I can see that.
So for the climax, we still see Debbie, Dave, and now the wine boys running around trying to lose their clown pursuers. When Jojo, the gigantic clown, appears, it's not Dave who ends up killing him. No, that guy is going to die, and it's going to be clownish and cartoony and cathartic. Instead, the big hero is Debbie. After all, she's got some clown powers now. She's going to put them to good use. She sends the clowns packing, saves the day. It's a happy ending. The final shot is her pulling a pie out of nowhere and flinging it at the camera. Roll credits, play the theme song again that's been redone, remastered, beautiful. Got some clown honking, it's great.
I will say, and this ultimately isn't saying much, but it's not more stupid than the original movie, so there's that.
Mwah, it's beautiful. You gotta lean into this. Have fun. Make a girl into a clown.
It's not bad. I think I would prefer watching your version than the original. It still wouldn't be a type of movie that I would like. Like, it's not something I would seek out. It's not something
fair.
I would be like, I want to watch this again. You know, but it would be better than the original movie for sure.
For sure.
It would have an actual plot and a character arc and all this other stuff, which is, hey, that's important for some stories, I guess.
Also, it'd be really cool for, the actress to just suddenly start juggling. I love juggling. I need to get better at it.
Oh boy. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't have any further ones. I can't think of anything else to say on yours. I don't hate it. I like it more than the original. So there you go. That's the best you're gonna get with me. I'm coming through this in a real weird position here. I'm gonna jump quick to mine. I had two main ideas for the remake, but yours actually came close to the second one, so I'm not going to do that one. Because there's two paths you can take with a remake of this kind of movie. One is to make it an actual movie, which is what you did. To add a story and a character arc and, narrative stakes and, like an interesting resolution. Which the original movie doesn't have any of those, but in a way that isn't horrible, which is how you can remake it the other way, which is to go full on that direction. You don't need plot, you don't need characters, you don't need things. You go full B-movie horror, and you basically do a long, extended scene after scene after scene of clown murder in various different wacky ways. Do every single wacky clown murder idea that you can get and build up over time and just do a bunch of clown murders.
I have so many ideas for clown murders, and that's not a good sentence to say out loud, probably.
Right. Again, any allusions to any crimes that we may have committed, those are all jokes. We do not condone violence. We do not condone murder. We have not committed murder. Anything that could be interpreted as us saying that we have done so are jokes.
And they cannot hold up in a court of law.
Right. I would definitely lean more towards that. And if there are characters, you would characterize the clowns. You wouldn't worry about characterizing the humans because they're fodder at that point. And you can have some scenes giving them like very minor characters that can be used in their death somehow in fun ways, but it shouldn't go beyond that scene. You're not building for an arc. I think if you are going to go this route and you still want to have some amount of character, again, go in with the clowns, maybe have I would have this be obviously from the perspective of the clowns and have it be very tongue-in-cheek for them. And maybe whatever character they have, it's maybe they're competing with each other to see who gets the best kill, the most interesting kill or whatever. And so from their perspective, it's not a horror. It's it's schlocky action. It's fun silliness.
It's like one of those sports movies.
Yeah.
But with clowns killing people.
Right. And then you have that for a while, and then maybe you can have one scene that goes full horror tone from the perspective of the humans and having a clown just slowly stalking them until they die. And then you have that and then that kind of reminds people of oh yeah, this is actually what's happening here. And then you jump right back to the silliness. And then you have to kind of sit with that contrast.
I adore that.
I think that's the direction I would go with something like this. I would go full silliness. I wouldn't go story. I wouldn't really go a lot of characters. I would just involve clowns killing a lot of different people in various different ways, and just try to make that as interesting as possible, and shoot for the so bad it's good moon. Like, that's the territory you're playing in.
Yeah.
That's the pool you're paddling in. Go real deep in there.
You gotta lean into the aesthetic and that fun, that good carnival fun.
And I think you can, even if you're going from the perspective of the clowns, you can have that moment of, oh, some of the humans are fighting back. Now shit's getting dangerous for us. And you can kind of have that kind of shift towards the ending. You know, wherever you want to take it from there. It's kind of, I don't really know how I would end that story. Because you can have it be like, the humans win, the clowns leave. And from the perspective, it's like, you know, oh, we bit off a little more, we can chew with these people. Or you could have it with the clowns win and the humans all die, and then you get like this little bit of them like celebrating the best kill and various things like that. Go very, very silly. Or you could have it be silly and then it become horror-esque from the clowns' perspective as they slowly start to die on their hunt. And the clowns, like, there's like only a few left, and it's like showing how they die. That would be an interesting thing as well.
Yeah.
Where it starts off silly, subverting the horror by going from the killer's perspective and being wacky about it, and then the humans fight back and ultimately win. And that could be really interesting.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a couple different ways. There's a couple different things. And when you go little to no story, because none of these things really have story. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think the one that would have the most story is that last one. But even then, it's not. So it wouldn't be a more complicated story than a Friday the 13th. You know, you get a little bit of info about what's going on, but then it's just, you know, scene after scene after scene of people dying, and then one person survives and fights back. You know what I mean? Same kind of thing.
I think that's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of potential.
At the end of the day, even if like we're seeing from the clown's perspective, we're still going to be ultimately rooting for the humans. You know what I mean? We understand that like they're the underdogs in this situation, and they're the victims, and you know we would ultimately want the humans to succeed because we're also human. I know that's hard for you to understand, but it's a thing. You kind of get that like kind of like, you know, subconscious emotional connection. So it would be like if in that third one and the clowns get driven off, then you have an explanation of like, oh, that is a victory. Because the clowns would just be like, hey, nobody else go here. These guys are fucking insane. You will die. And then there you go. Earth's saved. And I think that works because that's always the thing. Like when you have like alien shit in a horror movie, it's like, why don't more aliens come? When you have like supernatural stuff, then that has its own stuff that's typically dealt with pretty well. But when it's aliens, especially like sentient aliens, it's like, why don't more aliens come? And like, I think this would be a great way to kind of like put a bow on that, where it's like, yeah, like, we don't want to fuck with these guys anymore. Fuck these guys. You know what I mean? So, I think that would be a good approach for that. There's a couple different ways, but I think going low to no story here is the best bet. Dive deep in the paddle pool of B-movie horror. Go schlocky, go silly, go wacky. You know, it's what you're dealing with. It's what you're dealing with. So you why resist that? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's my main thoughts on this. Nothing super crazy. Just kind of have it be a showcase for any kind of fun ideas you want to throw in there.
Yeah, no, that I really like that. I just keep having this image in my head of a clown juggling some decapitated heads and then just like tossing them at people who are trying to run away.
It doesn't even like necessarily really hurt them. They just kind of like get hit and they're like, ah, and then they keep running.
It's like the horror of getting hit with a decapitated head.
Yeah.
Like, it's good. That's quality.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So any final thoughts before we wrap up?
This was a good movie.
I was able to watch it. That's honestly, I didn't think I was going to be able to going in. But I was able to watch it. It's not nothing.
It's not the worst thing I've ever shown you.
Right. The Howard the Duck was the worst thing you've ever shown
Right,
me.
nothing can top.
I didn't finish Howard the Duck.
Right, so nothing can top Howard the Duck. Unless I get some movie that you cannot watch more than 10 minutes of.
Right, because I stepped out of Howard the Duck 30 minutes in.
Yeah, you watched the first movie.
Right, right. So yeah, it's going to be hard to beat that. So this is definitely a lot better in comparison. I was able to watch it. I was able to even have fun at parts. So it's not bad.
There was a lot of fun to be had here. I really want cotton candy now.
Of course you do. Unfortunately, that is a bitch to make.
Yeah.
Poor thing. Well, if any of y'all want to make your own type of killer clown movie based on what we said, please do go ahead. I mean, like, this is an open-ended thing. You wouldn't even need to necessarily remake Killer Clowns from Outer Space to do this. You could just have a killer clown movie, and it would fit pretty well in regards to this. Or, you know, maybe not clowns, maybe something else. You can use these ideas for any one of those. We don't mind. Just give us a shout out. Hit us up on Twitter. Did you one better? Did you one the number one better? Did ya YA one the number one better on Twitter? Or you can leave a comment or anything else. And
Feel free to send us your clown sonas.
I will not look at them, but Fox will appreciate them.
I adore clowns. I don't know if I've said that enough yet.
Fox will appreciate them. So, you know, just take that both as encouragement and a warning.
Goth clowns, pastel clowns, harlequins, jesters, every flavor of clown I love and appreciate.
Yeah, and that's about all the time that we have for this episode. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful evening.
Bye!